And we're going to be starting here in Nigeria on the News Direct newspapers to share with you what the big ones are over there. It says here, 19.76 trillion naira budget presentation. Presidency battles padding by MDAs. This, of course, is a reoccurring story every year when the budget's about to be released. You know, there's always a story of budget padding. Either National Assembly, MDAs, it just always happens.
It would have been a shock if we didn't see a story about budget padding. It's become normal. We've become, in some manner, desensitized to it.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think, you know, it's one of the ways, or it's one thing that is barely ever spoken about enough. You know, the fact that if you look through Nigeria's budget every year, aside the fact that, you know, there's, you know, the budget padding aspect, there's also recurring figures in the budget that were put in the budget last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that of course continue to be added to the budget, and it's just completely the stuff that needs to be looked into. It announces 720 billion naira borrowing plan. Reps commence process of scrapping MDAs. Okay. Controversy trails closure of Dangote cement plant in Kogi. State Assembly orders closure. Kogi Commissioner and 7 staff shot. That says that's from a Dangote source. I'm not sure what's going on. Vote buying. INEC to deploy undercover agents to monitor polling units, uncover culprits. Ocean 2022, Oyetola appeals court ruling nullifying his candidacy. And also Lagos teachers endorse Sanwo-Olu for second term. You can also find here World Teachers Day, Ogun wins Best Public Schools Teachers Awards in Abuja. Those are the stories on the Nigerian News Direct.
Now, still staying in Nigeria, let's look at the Daily Trust newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Trust, big story here says, how 23 remaining abducted Kaduna train passengers were released. Families excited. How negotiators sealed deal. NRC to unveil plan on train service resumption. And we still see on the front page here, we can see the photograph. This is a photograph of the released victims and some of the negotiators yesterday. We'll be talking about the story much later on in the show. Senate approves 3.6 trillion naira petrol subsidy, 8.4 trillion naira borrowing plan for 2023 on page 19. Resolve your dispute in 24 hours, appeal court tells federal government and ASU. Do we even have, I mean, it's embarrassing to see what's happening. At this point, it's really become embarrassing, but we will keep talking about what's happening in the education sector. Man remanded for defiling 2 minors in wife's lesson class. Wow. Geragua emerges first power firm on NGX, lists 2.5 billion naira shares. At the top of the paper, World Teachers Day, 2 years after, federal government yet to implement teachers' new salary package. APC crisis, governors, NWC meet, fail to agree on campaign kickoff. More flood to hit Kogi, Kebbi, Kaduna, Taraba, Lagos, others in 24 hours. That's quite scary. So between now and Friday, everyone has to make plans, you know, as regards what they want to do with themselves, because according to the agencies, more flood will be hitting. Whilst we're talking about the released victims, we're still going to talk about those in captivity. Level school girls of FGC Beninyarui in captivity for 476 days, and one student of Bethel Baptist High School, Kujama, in captivity for 449 days. Here on the Daily Trust. Let's get away from Nigeria to Uganda.
All right, and I'm hoping that we, you know, also get to speak, you know, sometime about the Kogi State, you know, issue with flooding, because if you see pictures, you know, from there, it's
not pretty.
It's really not pretty at all, and this normally should be a national emergency situation.
Because, but why are we not talking about it?
Yeah, it's barely made the news. All right, let's go to Uganda this morning and see what's made the news. It says on the New Vision newspapers, Museveni apologizes to Kenya. President lauds Muhoozi for positive contributions. That's on page 3. Also, Teachers' Day, we spoke about this yesterday. Salary inequality cries intensify. Independence, how Mutesa beat Nadiope in polls on page 2. And Ebola claims another medic. That's a sad story there. One new curriculum, biology literature for senior 4. Of course, that's in the educational system. And those are the stories making the headlines on New Vision in Uganda this morning.
That story about the medic that Ebola claimed is really a sad update, because these people constantly putting their lives on the line, trying to protect the rest of us, and that's what they have to deal with. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family of the medic who passed. Now let's head over to South Africa. On the front page of the Sowetan, police station robbery, cops' worst fears come true. Officers at latest cop shot. I'll take that again. Officers at latest cop shop to be attacked by armed robbers locked up the gates at night, scared they would fall victim one day. If this can happen to the people who are supposed to protect us, then what about us? Residents ask. The details of that on page 2. Ex-Joburg mayor is delusional on page 4. Not easy, but how broken trust can be rebuilt on page 21. Coaching drama at Marquise's, just where is Cabo Zondo? And final story, Bobby Blanco talks swag, shots and cocktail on page 16. We can see a photograph here of someone at the top of the paper diving into a pool of some sort. Says, despite the city of Johannesburg imposing level 2 water restrictions as they battle with water supply, public pools will remain open for residents to use to cool off due to the week-long high temperature. These kids took to the public swimming pool in Soweto to beat the heat.